But the goal today is for me to give you a quick overview of athletics, to then talk a little bit about volleyball, to talk about participation, talk about coaching, and then how to do a great job as a spectator for us. So that's kind of our roadmap. And throughout, I'll be stopping to answer questions for you. So please do not hesitate to type things in. And I'm going to start here with a prayer, and I'm going to continue to let people in as we go. So if you have a friend that you don't see on here, send them a quick text message and get them on here so that they can get the information. But let's start with a prayer, and then we'll begin. God, thank you for this day. Thank you for the chance to meet. Thank you for the people that were able to come tonight. We thank you for Grand Rapids Christian, for the beauty of athletics, that we get to participate in it. You can teach us so much about your world and about us through that avenue. We're grateful for the parents, for the kids, the coaches, and the school system. God, we pray a special measure of grace and patience over all of us as we invest in this challenging world of athletics. We know that there's emotions involved, and there's excitement, and there's disappointment, and all these things. And God, we just pray that you made all of those things, and you make all those things good. Help us to invest in those things to become the best version of ourselves. And please help all of us as we work together to put you on display in a positive way this fall, through the sport of volleyball and through our time at Grand Rapids Christian. Bless our conversation tonight. In your name we pray. Amen. Well, thank you so much for being here. Very quickly, we are here for volleyball information. And the goal of athletics at Grand Rapids Christian Middle School is participation. Meaning that we want kids to have experiences. If you sign up, you get to play. We're going to break down a little bit how that works, but we want to make sure everybody gets a chance to play. And so we want kids to have positive experiences, challenging experiences, sad, happy, win, lose, difficult. I get as much playing time as I want, then I don't. All of those things are part of what we would call a rich athletic life building experience. If it's not just about getting the things that we want, the best experiences of our life come when we have challenges, we have difficulty, and we fight through. And so we want to remind you that the goal of athletics is to test and try all these things that we're interested in with friends through sport, knowing that it probably won't go perfectly. And that's okay. And that's actually good. That's God never told us everything was going to be perfect. And so athletics is just a chance to learn some of those things as well. I also want to tell you that this year, in an exciting way, there's going to be an email that goes out every week from GRCMS, our league, with virtues. And so what it's going to be is something that a prompt for you. It's going to come through your TeamSnap account of the virtue of the week that they're going to be focusing on, with some talking points. It's a great dinner conversation thing. It's a great program they've put together through the diocese of these virtues. And so it's a great thing we can use. Coaches will get them. You guys will get them. It's a great chance to kind of make sports bigger than just sport, not only through our coaches doing devotions and having that impact spiritually, but also through these ideas of Christian virtue that we can teach our kids. So there'll be a little prompt for that every week. You'll get that. I think it's on a Sunday afternoon where you'll get that for the upcoming week. So that's a really cool thing. And we're excited that the diocese is doing that for us. As we talk about volleyball, it is now, I always like to talk about this structure. So we go from like kindergarten through fourth grade of like recreation, where everything's equal, everything's, perfectly fair and similar. And then we go eventually to high school, where everything is, pretty competitive and very little is equal. And middle school becomes these stepping stones year by year, where we crawl closer to that world of competitive athletics that exists in the high school. And so there is always a little bit of a rub between what we're used to and where we're going. And that's why I love doing this job. I help students with that process. Hopefully we help parents with that process. And hopefully we all help each other to engage in that very well. Coaches now are hired by me. They're often paid. We have some volunteers that help out staff. Some coaches don't want to be paid because it's very kind, but they don't want to be paid. They just want to help and lead. And so I evaluate those people, and I work with them, and I communicate with them like an athletic director would. And so no longer is it just simply like who's ever available. We're trying to find people that really are going to help us take a step in competitive world. Also, we're in loud gyms where people start to lose their mind a little bit because we compete against other schools. Believe it or not, athletics does bring out bad in people. We see this even in recreational sports, but we're going to see it in volleyball. Volleyball is just one of those sports where things get weird for people, and it's one of those sports where people change being a fan of it. Whether it's you change by the way you interact with your own team or the way you interact towards other teams or how competitive you get with it. But it just gets a little crazy, and we want you to know that's coming. You're going to feel those things. We're going to talk a little bit later about that. We want to create partnership in our volleyball program between parents, coaches, kids, athletic directors. Grandpa's Christian is a special place to be an athlete and an athlete family because we choose to partner with parents. We don't shut them out. We don't want to keep them on the sideline. We don't want to fight them. We want to partner. Some parents are interested in partnering. They're awesome. Some parents, for some reason, don't want to partner. And that's always a lot harder. Our goal is that you'll want to partner with us. And that doesn't mean partnering doesn't mean you always get what you want, but it certainly means that we work together for the benefit of children and to put Christ on display. So we want to partner. We're inclusive, meaning everybody that signs up gets to play. That's the next 4 years of all the sports in our middle school. So please remember that we want people to play and to be involved in athletics because we think it's positive. Want a reminder that practices, like when my son was in rec sports or the stuff we did in K-4, if we were busy as a family and we couldn't make it to a practice, we were like, hey, sorry, we can't make it. We're not coming. As you get into competitive athletics, we want to try to make it a little bit more of a priority to be there all the time, especially in team sport like volleyball, where the connection between players is crucial. People knowing the strategy is crucial. It's not as much in K-4 with our sports that it's crucial. But as we learn competitive athletics and get closer to high school, we want to start taking that step towards making sure you're at practices and finding a way to be there. And then the way that we work our volleyball program is in 5th grade, we do a total equal split, meaning we do a team formation week. And we do this in all the grades where we watch all the kids and we do an equal split of players. And there's just one league and all the teams play each other as best they can, but it's equal split. In 6th grade, we do the same thing where we watch all the players and we do an equal split talent-wise, but we put both of our teams in the upper division. So a lot of times in 6th grade, we might struggle a little bit being in the upper division of our league developmentally, but that's just part of our process. It's part of learning, playing against better people. Because in 7th grade, what we do is we start to split developmentally appropriate is what we call it, meaning kids that are a little further ahead, they'll play together, and kids that are a little more on a beginner level, they'll start to play together. And we enter them in 2 separate leagues. There's like a Division 1 in 7th grade with like the top teams that are most developmentally ready. And then the teams that are developing more, they play each other. So it's a great thing our league offers in volleyball, but we start to split that way. And the same thing in 8th grade. There's an upper division and a lower division to our league, and we'll try to split accordingly at that time. And so that's kind of how we take those steps towards being in like a high school type situation. And just as a reminder, 5th and 6th grade teams play about 3 days a week, sometimes 4. The schedule lends itself weirdly sometimes to like a game Thursday, a game Saturday, and a game Monday, where you play 3 of your 8 games in a 5-day period and there's no practice. So sometimes, even though we have like a busy schedule, if we know we're going to miss a ton of practice days, we might add in a 4th day. And that's not because we're trying to win the state championship. It's just because kids need to practice. And so we hope to be able to do a lot of practicing, but usually it's 3 days a week. 7th and 8th grade is always 4, unless for some reason we can't fit a 4th day in on a short week or something like that. So that's the structure of our program, kind of our philosophy of how we want to work with you guys to provide an athletic opportunity for your kids. Participation wise, like I said, everybody gets a chance to play. We always like to cover that. But before I start with tryout information, does anybody have a question at this point? I see a couple in the chat here, so I'm just going to browse through that real quick. Oh, did it not come through the chat? Okay. I want to tell you about the Eagles Sport Report while I look through these. Carolyn Grundyke runs our Eagles Sport Report at the high school. What I'm doing is putting her email address in here. if you are interested in being part of that, knowing what's happening at our high school athletics, one of the best parts about middle school is getting to go to like high school games and things like that. And so knowing what's happening in our high school is always a positive thing. Lets your kids be involved in some of that too. So I put that in. A couple of questions here that I see in the chat. Sixth grade at other schools split at talent base A and B. The answer is most schools can't because they don't have enough players. So they just have one team. And then secondly, so they don't really have A and B teams necessarily. They just decide if they're good or bad, and they go in the upper or lower division. When we learn what days or times we practice, I have some times that your coaches will communicate to you, Sarah, about the first couple of weeks. And then once games start and I get a game schedule, I'll talk about this briefly later. But once we get to that point, then I'm able to schedule the rest of your practices and around those games, fulfilling those time requirements for how many days a week we meet. So I can't do that until I get the schedule, which usually comes in late August. And games will start the Saturday, September 9th. So we do have some time to fill that in, and we'll get those schedules out to you as soon as possible. I'm going to talk a little bit about tryouts. So 7th and 8th grade tryouts. So next week, the week of the 14th, the 8th graders only will have a tryout Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. Where all the coaches will be there to run 3 days of tryouts and then split developmentally amongst those two. We'll have one A team and one B team in 8th grade. There was 3 teams in 7th grade last year, but based on signups, we just have 2 teams this year. So we're going to have one A and one B team. And in 7th grade, 7th graders will do their A and B team formation selection the week of the 21st. They'll have 3 days in there where they'll meet. All the coaches will decide. We're figuring out how we're going to manage the 3 teams that we're going to have in 7th grade. But we are still working on kind of how that works, and going to take the coach's cue on what they see in the team formations. And so we will have 3 teams in 7th grade, and that will be done the week of the 21st. Again, tryouts are an inherently imperfect process. It's impossible for us to know everything in that amount of time. So just encourage your child to do their best, be their best, and try to have fun with it. If they're trying too hard, they're probably not going to be their best. So just encourage them to have fun, to enjoy it. And the coaches are going to do their best. I will tell you right now, they don't have any vendetta against your child. They really hope to do it perfectly so that they don't have people all mad. They want to make sure the kids are in the right spot so they can learn. And none of them are trying to win state championships and get their own glory and all of these things. And none of them even probably know most of your kids. And so they're not trying to put them in a certain place. And if you think that, maybe sports isn't the best place for you. So please, as we go through trials, just know it's not going to be perfect. We're going to do our best, and then we're going to move forward. And the kids are going to get a great experience. They're going to get to learn and grow. If they really should, if you think they should be on an A team, but they make a B team, make the most of your B team experience. They're probably good, and they're probably going to get a lot of repetitions on that B team being a main player. But one of the things we always talk to coaches about too is sometimes we have 4 setters and we have 1 A team. And if somebody really wants to be a setter and there's 2 or 3 setters that are better than them, even though they might be one of the top 10 or 12 players, we might want to put them on the B team because they're going to get reps at the position they want to be at. And so our goal is to learn about the kids, learn about what their hopes are, and see if we can fit them into the place where they're going to get the most repetitions to improve at what they're hoping to improve at. Our coaches will certainly suggest changes to what they maybe want to do and say, hey, I think you could play this position. And you might say things like, well, my daughter on this club team, she plays this position. Okay, well, this isn't your club team, and there's different kids here. And a coach's job is to put together a team as best as they can and put kids in a position, the team in a position to be successful. So we want to try to balance those 2 dynamics of what does the child want to play? How can we get them the most reps? And understanding that whatever they do at club, they made that team the same way that we're making A and B teams at ours, so that kids had the opportunities in the positions they wanted to play. So we have to do the same thing for us. And so coaches are trying to do that and work that out based on the kids that show up to play in our volleyball. And we have some extremely talented and veteran coaches on our staff this year. I'm really excited. We have a few new coaches, but mostly we have returning veteran coaches that have done this before. And so we're really excited about that. Also with this, your coach, like I said, is going to communicate with you weekly. You can expect weekly communication from your coach about what's happening the next week. I'm going to show you TeamSnap, which is something that you'll all be invited to. This is soccer, but you can imagine this would be a volleyball as well. You'll get added to this roster once we have created teams. You'll be added to this roster. And so then once you're invited to that, just accept the invite and you can enter in as many cell phones and email addresses as you need. And the communication will all go through this messaging system by our coach so that you can all get that information. There's a schedule tab. And you'll see the schedule pop up on here. The league will load in the games for us. And then what I will do is I'll work with your coach to make sure that I can get them practice times that fit the coach's schedule. And they'll enter those practices into this schedule too. And the best part about the schedule is it sends you reminders. It's a lot of reminders, but I don't know about you. I'm a pretty busy guy, and the extra reminders are actually kind of helpful for me. And so you'll get reminders about when practices are, when games are, and all of those things, but that will all be run through TeamSnap. So that's the best way to do it. It has a great mobile function as well. So that's kind of how we're going to communicate. And coach will put the practice and game schedules on there. I also want to talk briefly about playing time. It's really important that we talk about playing time in volleyball. The league has a rule that every player should play 14 serves. Now, this does not mean that they serve the ball 14 times, okay? It does not mean that they receive the serve 14 times. It means that they're on the court for 14 points that are played during a match. Now, the games are played to 21, I believe, in middle school in our league. And so there's 3 games always. So that is, 21, that's 63 for a winning team. And then there's obviously other points for the other team. So we're talking about more than 100 points that are probably played in every match. That can vary greatly. If one team is much better than another, all of a sudden you're much reduced in the amount of points available. So the coaches try very hard to make sure that everybody gets that time. The goal of every team is that if a player is showing up, has a good attitude, does what the coach wants, encourages their teammates, that we try to beat that 14 serve minimum for all of the kids. Now that might mean that they don't always get to serve, right? That doesn't mean they get to serve. Like in volleyball, there's strategy involved too. Some of your kids are great servers, some of them are not. We want them all to try it, fail at it, succeed at it. But certainly at certain points in games, if we can try to use some strategy and sub in a server at a given time, that's part of sport. We're trying to win as well, right? And so don't take that bad. That's just part of being part of a team sport. And there'll be other opportunities for your child to have some of those experiences, but we try to beat those numbers whenever possible. Now, here's what I'll tell you is that playing time, it's not suggested by our league or by me that kids play equal amounts. As we go up the world in competitive athletics, the best players need to play with all of the players because the best players make all of the players better, right? And so by nature, you're going to end up with some of the kids playing more than other kids, right? That's just the nature of all playing time sports. And so it's not going to be equal anymore. We do try to beat the minimums. And winning is something that we hope to do, but it's not the goal of every match that we get to. The goal is for us to experience the game, try things, be willing to take risks and fail and succeed. And if we can win while we do that and provide experiences to kids, that's the best possible scenario. And so there's always a variety of, what parents are hoping for through that. But I want to just tell you guys up front, playing time won't be equal. It'll be more equal towards 5th grade than it will be towards 8th grade. But it won't be equal. And second, we want to win. We're trying to win. Sometimes we're going to use strategy to win and make a substitution at a crucial time to try to get a win. And that might mean your child only plays 22 serves instead of 23. But we still want coaches to try to win. We're not going to please the people that want to win die hard, right? It's just not going to happen. And we're not going to please the people that think everything should be perfectly equal. But that's part of the process of learning competitive athletics. So a couple of things as we wrap up here. We have about 10 minutes left today. And so I've been a coach for 18 years, and I've coached over 30 seasons of sports. I'm currently the varsity golf coach at our high school. I've coached basketball. I've coached a million things. So I've been on the coach end of things. I've been a player, been on the AD end at the middle school and high school level. And I want to talk to you a little bit about what it's like to be a coach. I'm going to tell you right now that when a coach leaves the profession, if you ask that coach why they left coaching or why they're not going to coach again, I can't say 100%, but 99.9% of the time, they're going to cite parent behavior as the reason they leave. It's unfortunate. It's sad. You ask an official, the same thing. You get 10% of officials that say, I'm too old, I can't run. And you get the other 90% that say parent and coach behavior. And so I just want you to know what it's like a little bit to be a coach. And in the power that you have as a parent to be a positive or negative influence on someone's life. It is really difficult to find a coach. It is excessively difficult to find a great one. What we get in our middle school, luckily we get some great coaches, but sometimes we get coaches who are like, hey, I really want to get into coaching because I want to make a difference for kids. And they want to make a difference for kids. And then parents treat them in such a way that takes away the next 30 years of this person maybe helping out and helping kids' lives for the next 30 years. The parents treat them in such a way that they do this for 1 year and never again. And I just submit to you that we need coaches. We need people that want to do this. And so it's so important for you to treat them with respect and kindness. Start with trust. We often distrust the adult who's giving up time in their life, away from their job, away from their family, to spend time loving and caring for and teaching a sport to your child. We trust the child more than we trust that person. It's surprising. But if I had money for every time someone said, my child doesn't lie, my child would never do that, my child never would tell me that, like that would never happen, I would not be teaching. I would be an investment person and I'd be a millionaire, right? But it is, I just want to submit to you that it's possible your child is not telling you the whole truth, and that it's possible that that adult who's choosing to give up a big part of their life to be part of your kid's life might have a side of the story that's worth asking about. So start with trust. Trust our adults. Somewhere along the line, when I was a kid, it was never about what I thought. It was always trust the adult. And now we've kind of gone to this place where we've flipped that, where we only trust the kid and we never trust the adult. And I think we need to find the middle somewhere. So my encouragement for our community is to start with trust. Second, a coach's job is not to provide candies and cake for your kid all the time. There's something that we would call desirable difficulty, which means things are going to be challenging. It's impossible to grow without challenge. And I don't want you to expect the coach, when you say, hey, how's coach? Oh, coach is the best. They always tell me everything I want. That's not the mark of a great coach. The mark of a great coach is someone who's challenging and pushing your child to be better in a respectful and kind way. And so that's something that we ask our coaches to do. And sometimes that can be difficult and that can make kids challenged, and it's not quite as cupcakes and candy as they would like, but that's part of it. As a coach, benefit of the doubt is so important. I can tell you that as a coach, as an athletic director, when I get an email from a parent, my brain and body, because of the nature of emails from parents typically, is negative. Like, what did I do wrong? What did someone do wrong? As a coach, it's like, how are they going to, challenge my decisions or tell me I did something wrong? We always think and fear the text message and the email. And teachers feel that a lot too. I can't speak for all of them, but they do. We forget to positively interact with our coaches. These people that are trying to positively interact with your child. Find in your heart, no matter what your emotion is, a way to positively encourage a coach. Send them text messages over and over again about, thank you for this. Thank you for being on time today. We really appreciate that. Thanks for spending extra time with my child working on, setting today. Thanks for making my kids laugh. It's fun to see you guys laugh in the huddle. Tell them the things they do great. And then don't say like, hey, thanks for being a great coach. By the way, I want to talk to you about playing time. How about no? How about just tell them that they're doing a great job, right? And enjoy them as they're trying to enjoy your child. So I just want to encourage you that. Also with officials, if it is the worst official that you've ever seen in your entire life, please be positive with them, because we don't get to have a game without the official. And I guarantee you we get officials that aren't very good this year. I guarantee it. And almost every official is in the fans' mind is wrong because they call things against our team. So the official can never be seen as positive. But what I want to encourage you is, no matter what your emotions are, whatever, what you're feeling, that we can put Christ on display in such a positive way. If we're wearing Grand Rapids Christian shirts and we're high-fiving officials for being here, even if you don't like how they did, thank you for being here. Thank you for officiating. We're so glad you came today. And we could really make a statement about our school, about our faith, and about what's the most important thing in life, which is to encourage and care for other people and love them well. And so I want to encourage you about that. As you're approaching coach about things, approach with positivity, approach with open hands. When you approach with open hands, it feels good. An attitude of open hands, right? An attitude of a closed fist always means power and struggle and anger and excitement and all these things. And so your approach, make sure it's an open-handed, kind approach that asks questions. There's always other sides to stories. Even if you're there watching, you don't know the whole story. It's like I said before, it's possible your child isn't telling you the whole story. So ask this adult, approach them with kindness, with that open hand kind of approach and kindness as we do it. As spectators, there is a fee at games. You should know that at GRCMS events, parents are $3, kids are free, seniors are $2. And I know it's kind of annoying to pay that, but you'll notice if you've been part of our middle school, I never ask any parents for money for fundraisers. We don't do anything like that. And we provide our kids with everything they need to be successful, with uniforms, with equipment, with an incredible facility to play in. And we host a ton of events, which is a huge undertaking on our part to constantly be hosting events for you guys to go to. So when you pay that $3 fee, know that that's kind of like a donation to our program. That little $3 fee to enjoy your child's game, that goes directly to supporting our athletes and supporting the program. And that's why I never ask anybody for money, because there's this fee that the league allows us to collect, and that's a way that you can give. And so please just know, like, there will be a fee, but also hopefully you can approach that with a little bit of a smile, knowing that you're directly influencing our kids in the program that we get to lead. As you're in the stands, like I said, people get a little weird. Coaches get a little weird on opposing teams. There's a temptation for fifth graders to try to go 8-0 and just smack the ball right over the net. And we can't believe that our team's trying to set it up, because we always screw it up. And, I want to encourage you to just relax. Enjoy your kid. Right? Enjoy the other kids on our team. And you know what? Take a step and enjoy the other kids on the other team. These kids are such insecure kids trying to find a place to fit. And sports can be a place that welcomes and loves them. I just want to encourage you to have a posture this year that maybe it doesn't matter if we win every single game, but it matters more that kids feel like they're okay for participating and taking the risk to be on display in front of you. And so my encouragement to you is have a posture of kindness as you go through your conduct in the stands. Coaches are going to ask you, hey, can you please line judge for us? Please don't sit on your hands and go to the bathroom during that request. Help us out, okay? Give a little bit of your time to do a little line judging. It makes it great. Thanks for being a part of that. Be encouraging to all people. I want to encourage you that it's more important to be encouraging than it is to be right. I know a lot about sports and I like to be right about things, but what I've learned is that when I try to be right in the stands, all it does is poison the well for the people that I'm supposed to be encouraging. So I want to encourage you, it's more important to be encouraging and positive with people than it is to be right about a coach choice or a player choice and tell everybody around you about that, why they did it wrong. And maybe we need to support and just enjoy the fact that it's not going to be perfect and we're not professionals. And so I want to encourage you to have fun. If you're having fun, if you're smiling, if you're being excited, if our coaches are and our kids are, we're going to have a great year. If we start to go the other way, it has a waterfall effect as well. So my suggestion is just enjoy them by being positive, being kind, being encouraging instead of trying to be right, and enjoy the opportunity to be part of volleyball at Grand Rapids Christian. So that's kind of my main thing on how to fit all of that stuff. I'm going to browse through here about the messages. There is enough girls for 2 fifth grade teams. We're going to have 2 teams in 5th grade. We're going to have 3 teams in 6th grade, and we're going to have 3 teams in 7th grade. So to answer those questions. Also here, I see one. Is it possible to know approximate times of day for practices? It will vary slightly based on coach availability with their schedules. But the time frames for practices are typically 3:15 to 5, 5 to 6:30, or 6:30 to 8. Those are our 3 main time slots. If you practice at the Iroquois gym, that's always a 5 to 6:30 time. And so those are our main time slots. We try to practice the kids when our coaches are available because they have jobs, because they have, things to do and responsibilities, and they're great leaders. So we're trying to work with their schedules. And again, we also have to work around those game schedules. And my goal is to play this huge game of chess with 10 volleyball teams, 1 gym, and 10 schedules, and us hosting games multiple times a week to get everybody as much practice as we're allowed to give them so they can improve and have an experience as a team. So I try to be as consistent as possible, but I will tell you, I won't say who said this because they did a direct message, but I will tell you, we're going to do our best to be consistent, but those are our time frames, and we will find a rhythm once we get that game schedule. Another question in here, tryouts on 15, 16, 17, 5:30 to 7. I said 5 to 7. We did change it from 5 to 7 due to coach availability. And like I said, coaches will be emailing you this weekend with information about starting. And so the 8th grade coaches will email the 8th grade parents this weekend about starting those tryouts next week. So you'll have that definite information from the coach. And then everyone else will also get an email the weekend before the 21st to confirm all of your team formation days and locations for that first week. Once we have the teams made, you'll have 1 coach on TeamSnap that you can communicate with. And if you have questions about the season, I love all of you, but with 10 teams, I can't answer all your questions. The best person to go to is your coach for them to manage that. And if they need my help, I'll work with them. We don't know exact schedules, but 6th grade practices will they be right after school? Like I said, we're still working on that, and it will depend a little bit on coach and gym availability. So we'll get that out as soon as we can, so you'll be able to plan around it. One of comments in here is that this person is a coach in our basketball program and has experienced each of you in some way, probably through basketball, but says, encourage parents to have their kids talk to the coach about playing time herself if it's a concern. It's a great way for girls to start having those hard conversations in a very safe place. And what I'll add is in something as truly insignificant as middle school athletics. Like, it is a big deal to play sports, but really in the scheme of life, it's a great place to practice some of these hard things. She says the player will also get good feedback and likely get more playing time when they hear the feedback of things she can work on to be a stronger player. I can't reiterate that more. We can make as many different ways to talk about that as we want, but the best way, my church always says, you're not raising kids, you're actually raising adults. So the way that we work with them now is the way that they're going to become and how we do that. So my encouragement is to help them have those conversations instead of you have the conversations for them. The coach also receives the communication with the kid 100 out of 100 times better from your kid than from you. Some offense to us as parents, because we've built a reputation as parents that we don't do a great job with those communications. But the coaches are there for the kids, and they like to talk to the kids, and they want the kids to be successful. So it's always great when the kids can start those conversations. It's much better received by the coach and the kid. Practice schedules, I think I just mentioned that. So practice schedule information will come out this weekend and next so that you'll be fully aware of that. And then eventually you'll get on TeamSnap and have the rest of the season on there. If anyone else has a question for me, you can unmute or you can write it in the chat. We are at 7:40, and I thought we would be in here from 7:05 until 7:45. So we're right on the money. And if you have any questions, let me know. If you have any comments, please let me know. But really looking forward to the season. Looking forward to getting started with volleyball and the challenges that we'll encounter. And I just want to pray and hope that everybody does a great job of enjoying the opportunities and being a part of this and helping your daughter be empowered to approach some challenging things this year that will happen. We're excited for it and hope that you are too. Hope to see you around. And the question was, can parents watch practices? We don't allow parents to be in the gym for practice. That's not something that we're real interested in. It's a weird dynamic for your kid. It's a weird dynamic for the other kids. It's odd for coaches. And we start to step into this place where we're in middle school now. And recreation, I know I was in the gym sometimes with my son in the recreation program, K-4. Kids are in middle school now. We're kind of taking that first step in a different direction. So we ask that typically parents drop off and pick up at the end. Thank you for asking that question.
Kevin, I'm not sure if you saw my comment, but I came a few minutes late, which was unavoidable. Will you be sending out the recording just so I can catch up on whatever was said at the beginning?
I will do that.
Thank you.
Anyone else have a question for me? All right. Well, I appreciate you coming, and we'll see you out there. Don't be afraid to say hello. My office is right at the top of the gym at the middle school. But have a great night, and we'll see you soon.